I tried fixing my running toilet after one YouTube video. Turned the wrong valve, loud bang shook the walls, hit my head on the sink, broke the tank lid, dropped my wrench in the bowl. My neighbor heard the noise and banged on my door. I'm not a plumber. Let me just start with that disclaimer right up front, because what happened last Tuesday proves I have absolutely no business touching anything that involves pipes, water, or basic home maintenance. But my toilet had been running nonstop for 3 days, and I was sick of jiggling the handle every 2 hours like some kind of caveman, performing a ritual to appease the porcelain gods. I figured it was time to be a responsible adult and fix it myself. How hard could it be, right? People fix toilets all the time. There are literally thousands of YouTube videos about it. I'm a reasonably intelligent person with opposable thumbs and access to the internet. I could handle this. Spoiler alert, I could not handle this. I started by doing what any modern person does when faced with a household problem. I went to YouTube and typed how to fix running toilet. The first video that came up was some cheerful guy in a plaid shirt standing in what looked like a showroom bathroom, explaining the inner workings of a toilet tank like he was teaching kindergartners about shapes and colors. It's probably the flapper, he said with the confidence of someone who'd never flooded their own bathroom. The flapper is this rubber piece at the bottom of the tank. When it gets old, it doesn't seal properly, and water keeps running into the bowl. Super easy fix. Just go to any hardware store, buy a universal flapper, and swap it out. Takes 5 minutes. 5 minutes. He said 5 minutes. I should have known right then that I was doomed. I watched the video exactly once, nodded along like I understood everything, and headed to the hardware store. The plumbing aisle was overwhelming. Rows and rows of pipes, valves, washers, and things I couldn't even identify. I found the toilet repair section and stared at approximately 47 different types of flappers. Universal flapper, adjustable flapper, chlorine-resistant flapper, silent fill flapper, premium flapper with some kind of special coating. I grabbed one that looked vaguely similar to what the YouTube guy had shown, and also picked up a wrench because I didn't own one and figured I'd probably need it. The cashier, an older woman who looked like she'd seen some things, glanced at my purchases and asked, "First time fixing a toilet? Is it that obvious? You bought a flapper for a newer model, but that wrench is way too big for anything you'd need on a standard toilet. Also, you look terrified." "I'm not terrified. I'm just cautiously optimistic." She smiled in a way that suggested she knew exactly how this was going to end. Good luck. I should have taken that as an omen. When I got home, I stood in my bathroom staring at the toilet like we were about to engage in combat. I'd lived in this apartment for 2 years and had never once looked inside the tank. I lifted the lid carefully, half expecting something to jump out at me, and peered inside at the mysterious mechanisms that apparently controlled whether I had a functioning toilet or a water bill that would bankrupt me. It looked nothing like the YouTube video. Absolutely nothing. The guy's toilet had been clean, well lit, and the parts were clearly visible and labeled. My toilet tank looked like a miniature industrial accident. Everything was covered in mineral deposits. The water was slightly brown, and I couldn't tell which part was the flapper because everything was the same vague beige color. But I'd come this far. I'd spent money. I'd told my girlfriend I was going to fix it. I was committed. I set the tank lid on the counter, or at least I tried to. The counter in my bathroom is approximately 6 inches wide, and the tank lid is approximately 8 inches wide. Basic geometry should have told me this wouldn't work, but I was already in problem-solving mode and not thinking clearly. I balanced it precariously on the edge, told myself it would be fine, and turned back to the tank. Step 1, according to the video, turn off the water supply. There was a valve behind the toilet, covered in dust and what I hoped was just rust. I reached down and tried to turn it. It didn't budge. I tried harder. Still nothing. I grabbed the wrench I'd bought, the one that was apparently too big, and attempted to use it on the valve. That's when I made my first critical error. I turned it the wrong direction. There was a loud bang from inside the wall like someone had kicked it from the other side. The pipe shuddered. I flinched so hard that I jerked upward and smacked my head directly into the underside of the sink. Stars exploded in my vision, and I stumbled backward, knocking into the toilet. The tank lid, which had been precariously balanced on the counter, slid off and crashed to the floor. It didn't shatter completely, that would have been too clean. Instead, it cracked into 3 large pieces that were still somehow connected, like a jigsaw puzzle made of porcelain and regret. I stood there, one hand on my throbbing head, staring at the broken lid, while water continued to run in the tank behind me. From upstairs, I heard footsteps. Heavy, rapid footsteps. Then stomping. Then my upstairs neighbor, a woman named Margaret who I'd spoken to maybe twice in 2 years, started banging on her floor, which was my ceiling. The banging continued for about 10 seconds, then stopped. I heard her apartment door open, then heavy footsteps in the hallway, then aggressive knocking on my door. "Are you okay?" Margaret shouted through the door. "What's happening in there?" I was still disoriented from hitting my head, still staring at the broken tank lid, still trying to process the fact that I'd somehow made the situation worse in under 5 minutes. I stumbled to the door and opened it. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just fixing the toilet." Except that's not what Margaret heard. According to her, what she heard was, "Fixing to blow it up." I didn't know this at the time. I just saw Margaret's eyes go wide, saw her back away from my door, and then heard her running back upstairs. I thought maybe she was just concerned and went back to her apartment. I closed my door and returned to the bathroom to survey the damage. The tank lid was definitely broken. The valve behind the toilet was still stuck. My head hurt. And I still hadn't even touched the actual flapper. I decided to just go for it. I'd come this far, and surely it couldn't get worse. I reached into the tank, located what I thought was the flapper, and tried to remove it. It was stuck. Everything in this toilet was apparently stuck. I pulled harder. The flapper came loose suddenly, and my hand flew backward, knocking the wrench I'd left on the edge of the tank. The wrench fell directly into the toilet bowl with a splash that sent water onto the floor. I stared at the wrench sitting at the bottom of the bowl. I stared at the old flapper in my hand, which was disintegrating and leaving black residue on my fingers. I stared at the puddle of water spreading across my bathroom floor. And I started laughing because what else was there to do? That's when someone knocked on my door again. Not Margaret this time. This was a different knock. Official, authoritative, the kind of knock that makes your stomach drop even when you haven't done anything wrong. I opened the door, and there were 2 police officers standing in my hallway. I was soaking wet. I had a cracked toilet tank lid in one hand and a disintegrating flapper in the other. There was water dripping from my shirt. I probably had a visible bump forming on my forehead from where I'd hit the sink. I looked in retrospect like someone who'd just survived a very specific kind of disaster. One of the officers, a younger guy who looked like he was trying very hard not to smile, looked me up and down and said, "Sir, we got a call about a possible disturbance. Your neighbor said she heard an explosion and thought you said something about blowing something up." The other officer, older and less amused, was peering past me into my apartment. "Are you building something in there? Some kind of device?" It took my brain a solid 5 seconds to process what they were asking. Then it clicked. "Oh my God, no. I was fixing my toilet. I said I was fixing the toilet." The younger officer lost his battle with the smile. He actually laughed, then tried to cover it with a cough. The older officer remained skeptical. "Can we come in and take a look?" What was I going to say, no? I stepped aside and let them in, still holding the broken tank lid and the flapper like the world's saddest plumber. They walked to the bathroom and surveyed the scene. The broken lid on the floor, the wrench in the toilet bowl, the puddle of water, the open tank with parts scattered around it. The older officer looked at me. "You're really just trying to fix your toilet?" "Yes." It was running constantly, and I watched a YouTube video, and I thought I could fix it myself. But then I turned the wrong valve, and there was this loud bang, and I hit my head, and the lid fell, and I gestured helplessly at the bathroom. This happened. The younger officer was now openly grinning. "Sir, that bang you heard was probably water hammer. Happens when you close a valve too quickly. It's loud, but it's not dangerous." "Oh." "And for future reference," the older officer added, his expression softening slightly, "maybe call a plumber next time." They looked around a bit more, confirmed that I was not, in fact, building any kind of explosive device, and prepared to leave. As they walked to the door, the younger officer turned back. "Do you need help getting that wrench out of the toilet?" "I think I can handle that part." "You sure?" "Because based on what we've seen here, I'm sure." They left, and I closed the door behind them, then immediately slid down to sit on the floor with my back against it. I could hear them talking in the hallway, something about poor guy, and at least it wasn't actually a bomb. And then their footsteps fading away. I sat there for a solid 10 minutes, just processing everything that had happened. Then I got up, fished the wrench out of the toilet bowl with a pair of tongs, mopped up the water, and did what I should have done in the first place. I called a plumber. He came the next day, a middle-aged guy named Frank who took one look at my bathroom and said, "Rough day? You have no idea." He fixed the toilet in about 15 minutes. Turned out it wasn't even the flapper, it was the fill valve. The part I'd bought was completely wrong. He also fixed the water hammer issue by adjusting the pressure on the main valve, replaced my broken tank lid with a generic one he had in his truck, and charged me $285. Best money I've ever spent. The toilet stopped running. The water hammer stopped banging. Everything was fixed, except for my relationship with my upstairs neighbor, apparently. Margaret now avoids eye contact whenever we pass in the hallway. I tried to explain what happened, but she just nodded quickly and hurried away. I think she still thinks I'm some kind of wannabe domestic terrorist who's really bad at making bombs. My girlfriend found the whole thing hilarious. She told everyone we know. Her friends think it's the funniest story they've heard all year. My friends have started calling me the toilet bomber. Someone made a meme about it with my face photoshopped onto a picture of a guy holding a plunger like a weapon. I've learned several valuable lessons from this experience. 1. YouTube videos make everything look easier than it actually is. That guy in the plaid shirt probably has a degree in plumbing and 20 years of experience. He's not representative of what will happen when a regular person tries to fix a toilet. 2. If something in your house is broken and you have no idea how to fix it, just call a professional. The money you save by doing it yourself is not worth the potential for disaster, property damage, or police involvement. 3. Always turn valves slowly. Water hammer is real, it's loud, and it will make your neighbors think you're conducting some kind of illegal activity. 4. Tank lids are heavier and more fragile than they look. Do not balance them on narrow surfaces. 5. If you do decide to attempt home repairs despite all common sense, maybe warn your neighbors first. A simple, "Hey, I'm going to be making some noise fixing my toilet," would have prevented a lot of confusion and a police visit. The toilet still runs sometimes, by the way. Not constantly like before, but occasionally. Frank said it might need another adjustment in a few months. When that time comes, I will not be watching YouTube videos. I will not be going to the hardware store. I will not be attempting any repairs myself. I will be calling Frank, and I will be paying him whatever he asks. Because some things are worth the money, and my dignity is one of them. Although, honestly, after having 2 cops show up at my door because my neighbor thought I was building a bomb when I was really just incompetently trying to fix a toilet, I'm not sure I have much dignity left to preserve. At least the story is good. And at least nobody got hurt. And at least the toilet works now, even if I had to pay a professional to fix my attempt at fixing it. My girlfriend says I should frame the broken flapper as a reminder of my hubris. I told her I already threw it away, but she says the memory is enough. She's probably right. I don't think I'll ever forget the sight of 2 police officers standing in my doorway while I held a toilet tank lid and dripped water onto my floor. Some lessons you learn from books. Some you learn from experience. And some you learn from trying to fix a toilet and accidentally summoning law enforcement. I'm just grateful it ended with laughter instead of an arrest record. And I'm grateful for working plumbing, understanding neighbors who eventually forgave me, and the knowledge that sometimes the best thing you can do is admit you have no idea what you're doing and call someone who does. The toilet was fixed. The crisis was over. And I was never ever attempting DIY plumbing again. Well, probably never. Okay, definitely never.